Tai Chi Master is a 1993 Hong Kong martial arts film directed by Yuen Woo-ping and produced and starring Jet Li. And this film was simply amazing from start to finish. I will say that now. This is kind of an instance of a more modern, it's like a 90s film, I guess, but definitely around the same time as like The Matrix and things like that. So it had a lot to live up to, and it definitely shows. Now, the plot of the film I'll go over pretty briefly. It basically stars two young Shaolin kids in the Shaolin Temple that are studying, they want to study Kung Fu. They kind of get in trouble, they kind of mess around, and it shows them growing up and kind of doing their own thing. And eventually they get kicked out of the temple for almost getting another student killed, and you can kind of see that, I don't know if they were brothers, but they kind of grew up together, and so they're like best friends, and one of them is more arrogant and strong-minded, or whatever that's called, and the other one, Jet Li, is more calm, but he's also very like courageous kind of and stuff. But they basically have their own ways and personalities and things. But eventually they get kicked out of the temple and have to go along their own paths. So they kind of wander around and they, encounter a couple people, and soon you learn about like an evil governor that's kind of like attacking people, and basically has his own like private army sort of, and wants to like make the village be as best as it can. He kind of torments the villagers and things like that. But the one brother wants to become rich and powerful just like the governor, because he sees that's his way of life and that's what he'd be good at. So he kind of wants to go and join the army, whereas Jet Li's character just wants to help people and try and do the best he can with the skills and stuff from the Shaolin Temple. But what ends up happening is the brother slowly becomes more evil, and spoiler alert, he does join the army. He eventually takes over the army for himself. It kind of torments everybody else, wants to be all powerful. The brother tries to stop him. He basically kidnaps a couple women as bait to kind of lure his brother out so that they could fight, because he wants him to become powerful too, but his brother is reluctant. And basically they have like a huge fight at the end, and it's very, very good. Just take it from me. And so, I didn't even realize it had like a sequel or anything like that. But the movie definitely has some of the best choreography and fight scenes I've ever seen in a Kung Fu film. And that may have to do with the generational thing again, which I'll always bring up because it's important. But I try to mix in movies that are both really old as well as new, and, everything in between. So that, let's go over some of the categories and my scoring. So with Tai Chi Master, the story wasn't quite as good as it could have been. It was kind of slow to begin with. It's kind of a generational thing, so you kind of see them when they're young, and then you see them when they're like teenagers, and then older, and then they kind of do their own thing at the end. It took a while to build up, especially to get to the end fights. And when it does have fights, it's actually really good. It's just that the story is kind of slower paced and not quite as good. So I give it a 3 out of 10. The music is just kind of average. I don't know what it is with these martial art films and having music. Maybe it's just something that I hear, but I kind of just rated it a 5 out of 10 as well. It's just kind of average. Again, not too good, not too bad. It's serviceable. The effects in the film, from what I remember, they weren't too good. It's kind of more about the choreography, and I don't really rate that in the same category as effects. Effects are more like blood or weaponry, or like, whether it's CG stuff or just wire working and things like that. It's a really hard category to actually nail, and maybe I'll adjust it some more or combine it. I'm not sure yet. But I rated a 3 out of 10. It's just kind of passable, slightly below average. That's not what I would come see the film for. The fighting, however, this is what I would come see the film for. The fighting, again, I believe it was choreographed by the same guy who did the Matrix films, which is also what got me interested into the film anyway, as well as being a Jet Li movie that was actually pretty highly reviewed. The fighting is a 9 out of 10. Huge, huge, huge an amazing work. Basically, the first fight scene between him and his brother in the Shaolin Temple, like with the staffs, or when they're getting attacked by the entire school, which is like 50 people or something like that, is amazing. I would just watch the film just for that first fight scene. It's gorgeous. I think that's what really drew me in. So a 9 out of 10. Very, very amazing work. That brings me to an overall score of 8 out of 10. I actually rate it slightly higher than previous films, and the reason for this is just the fighting. Just that's what you'd come for. That's what you need to see. That's what martial art films are known for. And maybe I'll see movies that have more music or better effects and things like that. But as far as fighting goes, that's what I'd recommend the film on, as well as if you're a Jet Li lover from the early 90s and things like that. Definitely amazing. So go check it out, and I will see you guys next time.